What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome to the latest edition of Jets Latest, where you get the latest on the Jets. I'm your host, the spitting statistician, Dane Martinez, and we've got an interesting show for you in this episode, okay? We are going to be looking at the updated kind of draft targets for the New York Jets. We are now into free agency. You know the Jets have made some moves, obviously getting their new quarterback in Justin Fields, some other additions to the secondary, and I think that is key. Okay, because some of the things that the Jets are doing in free agency are sort of tells for their priorities left remaining in the draft, right? Whatever kind of holes are left to fill will probably happen in the draft. For example, in a previous episode, I highlighted a guy like Malachi Starks from Georgia, the best safety in the class, but the Jets have already gotten Cisco. They brought in Stevens, who kind of has that versatility, may be able to play some safety too. So I no longer think that Malachi Starks is one of the focuses for the Jets early on in the draft, right? The other thing I have been saying is that this new regime, head coach Aaron Glenn, new GM Darren Moji, they clearly have a trend. They are going after top 100 pick draft talent who have flashed in the league and are still in their mid to upper 20s, some even in their early 20s still, right? They're getting young guys that they hope they can grow and develop and establish a new kind of culture for the green and white. This regime wants to be younger. They're literally taking a bunch of third round picks in free agency. So I expect them to bring in 1, 2, 3 new starters with their first 3 picks in this draft. And so let's take a look at who could be some of these guys, because I still see needs at positions like offensive line. We still see need at pass catcher, whether that is tight end or at the wide receiver position. So one of the guys you really need to focus, although he is moving up a lot of people's draft boards, is Will Campbell. I have talked about Will Campbell. He is the top offensive lineman in this draft out of LSU. Looks like he can play tackle or guard. 6'6", 320 pounds. He is the #1 offensive lineman on the board. He was a 2-time all-conference player in the SEC. When you're in the SEC, you are going up against NFL-level pass rushers, NFL-level defensive linemen, so that is where you want to get your O-lineman from. He was also a 2-time captain for LSU, so we like that. He is very smooth, very athletic, can be a pulling guard even, can be athletic at the tackle position. We like that versatility. If he is available at number 7 overall, this is my primary target for the New York Jets. I definitely think that's exactly where they should go. It is Will Campbell, offensive lineman out of LSU, building from the inside out, hoping to protect Justin Fields and help that run game with Breece Hall. Here is another thought, though. There is a lot of buzz. People want shiny new toys, right? And there is a stud tight end out there, and it is Tyler Warren out of Penn State, okay? 6'6", 260 pounds out of Penn State, the absolute best tight end in the class. Last year, the Jets were mocked in a lot of places to Brock Bowers, who was the best tight end in the draft class. All he did was catch about 100 balls, 100-plus balls in his rookie year, and looks to be a Pro Bowl caliber tight end for years to come, right? Warren could be the same, okay? He actually got Heisman Trophy votes as a tight end. That is very, very rare. He would be a complete mismatch. He is versatile, can line up all over the place, do a lot of different things. He also, for a tight end, has good speed. His yards after the catch were great at Penn State. He's being compared to Greg Olsen. If we can get a tight end that has a career of Greg Olsen, that would be great, right? Now, it looks like they're not going to bring Tyler Conklin back to save some money, so tight end becomes a position of need. Now, here's the thing. They do have a 3rd-round pick from Ohio State. And remember, the Jets are bringing in a ton of Ohio State guys, if you remember this, to kind of bring the band back together with Justin Fields. And it's Jeremy Ruckert. The only thing is, I don't think that they are going to allow Ruckert to be the #1 guy. I think they are going to look for Tyler Warren, potentially. The only drawback with Tyler Warren is you don't usually see kind of tight end being a top 10 pick. We saw it with Bowers. We've seen it recently with guys like Kyle Pitts, but it is not usually a position that you spend this level of draft asset for. There is one other name that hasn't been linked to the Jets as much that I think could be very interesting, especially, like I said, if you follow the money, they haven't addressed linemen as much yet in free agency. They haven't addressed the tight end position in free agency. Another position they have not drafted or addressed in free agency is wide receiver. And there is an absolute stud at wide receiver that could be available for them at number 7 overall. That ironically, in mocks, is falling in the draft right now, and I don't understand it. And that is Tet McMillan. This is a wide receiver out of Arizona. You need to remember the name. Heck, if you are playing fantasy football, you need to know this name, whether he winds up with the green and white or not, because he is going to be the number 1 rookie wide receiver in the NFL next year. This is a true stud. 6'5", 210 pounds, out of Arizona, was a first-team All-American. He is a big frame, like I said, 6'5", a huge catch radius, okay? So you put the ball up there, he can go get it, and that is helpful for a developing quarterback who has accuracy issues like a Justin Fields. He is known as a smooth kind of athlete, getting in and out of his breaks. He can line up outside. He can line up in the slot. They're making comps to him like a T. Higgins type, like a Drake London type. And imagine pairing that kind of wide receiver opposite Garrett Wilson, giving Justin Fields not 1 but 2 stud targets on the outside. Listen to what he did last year at Arizona. 85 catches, 1,300 plus yards, and 8 touchdowns. He has the career record at Arizona with over 3,400 yards in his career. He once had 304 yards in a single game against New Mexico, okay, in one game. And this is a guy, like I said, the number 1 wide receiver on the board. So you need to know these names. Will Campbell, the number 1 offensive lineman on the board. Tyler Warren, the number 1 tight end on the board. And Tet McMillan, the number 1 wide receiver on the board. Now, some people be like, oh, what about Travis Hunter at Colorado, the two-way stud that won the Heisman? I believe that at the NFL level, Hunter is going to be predominantly a cornerback, predominantly a shutdown corner. Will there be a package of plays for him potentially at the next level? Maybe. But as far as a true wide receiver, it is Tet McMillan. Go right now and search some of Tet McMillan's highlights, some of his one-handed grabs, some of the plays he's made, and you are going to want him as well. But really, follow the money. The positions that we do not address in free agency are going to be the ones that are still remaining, are going to be the priority areas, in my opinion, when it comes to the draft, all right? And when we're talking about how this new regime wants to get younger, wants to get new talent that they can grow and develop, I would be remiss if we did not also tip our cap and give flowers to a member of the older regime, and that is linebacker CJ Mosley. I over here, everybody at Jets Latest, we should in fact thank CJ Mosley. He's been a leader for this team, a leader on this defense since 2019. About 5 years ago when he came in, he was kind of a big get for the Jets in free agency to help establish what at that point was going to be a new defense, a defense that with him as a captain has grown into one of the best defenses in all of the NFL. He played 56 games for the Jets. He did battle some injuries, had that neck injury over the last couple of years, but listen, in those 56 games, 300 solo tackles, had about 3.5 sacks, had some fumble recoveries, had some interceptions, and was a true beating heart for the Jets on defense. So we tip our cap and say thank you to CJ Mosley. But here's the bottom line. As we turn the page and move forward in a new era for the green and white, look at free agency, the positions that they do not invest heavily in to go for, those are the positions they will go and try to target in the draft. I've told you, they are now young at quarterback, young at running back, young on the offensive line. Garrett Wilson makes them young at wide receiver. The D-line with Quinnen Williams, right? The linebacker level with Sherwood and Quincy Williams. You got Sauce. You've brought in guys like Stevens and Cisco, all in their 20s, all top 3 round picks. We are going to bring in 3 more top 100 picks to be part of this new culture. And here's the deal. The most mocks, most draft boards have Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders, Mason Graham, who's a defensive lineman out of Michigan, as the top 5. If those 5 go, with the Jets picking at 7, 6, 7, that means one of these guys I'm telling you about will still be available, whether it's Will Campbell, Tyler Warren, or Tet McMillan. And I think if they bring either one of those into the building at one Jets drive, we will have another big element of a new Jets culture. that'll do it for here. This is another episode of Jets Latest. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe. This way you get all the information about the Jets, Jets every time we drop another episode. And it is a huge time of year with free agency, then the draft, especially with a new culture building with Aaron Glenn and Darren Moji. And if you ever want to hear more from me, you got to go on over to SiriusXM on the Fantasy Channel, where I am the host of the FTN Fantasy Show Monday through Friday. We give you great insights, great analysis, and talk to you about great tools and data that we use across all sports, whether it's betting or fantasy, to help you win your leagues and win that cash. But keep it locked, because at Jets Latest, we give you the latest on the Jets. I will be back tomorrow giving you more insight. You can trust that we will be here every day giving you the latest on the green and white. But for now, we'll see you then. Peace.